Over the past decade, SADC has witnessed a cascade of election disputes where promises of democracy often collide with allegations of fraud, suppression, and corruption, leaving many citizens in uncertainty. From Zimbabwe's high-stake court rulings to dramatic courtroom reversals in Malawi, here is a closer look at how elections in SADC countries spiraled into turbulence. Welcome back to the Fraud News channel. I'm your host, Boss Robert. To those who have subscribed to the channel, thank you very much. I appreciate your support. To those who haven't subscribed to the channel, please show your brother some love. Back to the story. In Zimbabwe, the 2018 general election were a flashpoint. The opposition cried foul, accusing the ruling party of widespread fraud. Yet, the Constitutional Court upheld President Emmerson Mnangagwa's victory, sparking heated debate across the nation. Some argued that the judiciary had become ZANU-ized, acting in favor of the ruling ZANU-PF party, while others claimed that the courts were impartial, urging the opposition to respect the results. Fast forward to 2023, SADC election observers openly declared the elections not free and fair, casting a shadow over the entire process. However, in a surprising twist, SADC appointed Mnangagwa as its chair, effectively dismissing its own observers' damning report and leaving Zimbabweans questioning whether justice could ever be served. Let us watch the following videos for more context.
The SADC body has issued a preliminary report. They are still going to sit down together with many other observers and analyze everything. So let's wait until all that comes out. But the Electoral Commission in Zimbabwe has made a declaration, and it is on that basis that we have issued our congratulatory message. So the rest of other things still need to be processed, no doubt, and everybody, including the government of Zimbabwe, accepts that. So let's wait until everything is well processed.
Fundamentally, what I have to ask you now, and I'm hoping that you can respond with your most simplest and honest answer you can, and that is that, do you believe, as the SADC Observer Mission, that these elections were free, fair, and importantly, credible?
Well, that is a question we don't usually answer easily. And I think that in our statement, we put it a little bit differently. And look, our goal is to authenticate the process. If the process is flawed, then the result cannot be legitimate. But the manner in which we couched our conclusion is as follows, and I think I would like to end at this, because then you are able to deduce on how we view this election as SADC. We said in our conclusion that in conclusion, the mission observed that the pre-election and voting phases on 23rd, 24th August 2023 harmonized elections were peaceful and calm. However, for reasons outlined above, the mission noted that some aspects of the harmonized elections fell short of the requirements of the Constitution of Zimbabwe, the Electoral Act, and the SADC principles and guidelines governing democratic elections as of 2021. So basically, that is our position at this time. We are now working on our final report that is going to be even more clearer in terms of how we are going to investigate all the other issues that are in this report in our making of the final report.
Dr. Mumba, I'm letting you go, but I'm obviously not happy with what you've given me as the final answer. But you mentioned that your observation of this election is already, and to use your words, it's already being scandalized, and you are saying that it is laughable, therefore. I'm wondering what your recommendations will be to the SADC Troika, because that's the body that you report to within the SADC. What would your recommendations be if indeed you conclude that these elections were not above board?
Well, first of all, they announced the results on Saturday night. complicates the situation in terms of the recommendations we can make. What now needs to happen is for those who are aggrieved about this election to proceed to the courts, but also to ensure that Troika engages the Zimbabwean government to look at this report. It raises very serious issues that actually border on the credibility and the integrity of the last election. And I think that as we hand over this report to the chairman, President Hakainde Hichilema of the Troika, he is going to communicate with his colleagues of SADC and say these are the serious matters that were raised by our team in Zimbabwe. And I think President Mnangagwa will have to be allowed to respond to these issues. And after that, they're going to have to decide how we proceed or how they proceed in terms of this election. That we did observe some very, very serious omissions of what was supposed to be done. And I think that our job is to observe and to report. And we've done exactly that. We observed and reported without fear or favor. And we are glad that we're professional about it.
In Malawi, the 2019 general election ignited protests that shook the foundation of the nation. Like Zimbabwe, the opposition cried foul, but this time the court sided with them. The Constitutional Court, in a bold and unprecedented decision, announced the results and ordered a fresh election. The dramatic rerun saw the opposition leader Lazarus Chakwera emerge victorious in 2020, a rare moment where the judicial system forced a reset, offering Malawians a sliver of renewed faith in their democratic institutions. Let us watch the following videos for more context.
Malawi's Constitutional Court has upheld an application from opposition parties to nullify Peter Mutharika's victory in a May 2019 presidential election. The court has ordered that a new presidential vote be held within 150 days.
Mutharika, Malawi president since 2014, won the election with a 38.57% share of the vote, with opposition party leader Lazarus Chakwera getting 35.41% and Deputy President Saulos Chilima 20.24% in the final tally. The Electoral Commission declared Mutharika the winner despite complaints of irregularities.
They include results sheets with sections blotted out or altered with correction fluid. Chakwera, the president's main rival, and Chilima rejected the results and filed a petition to the High Court asking it to nullify the results. A panel of 5 judges ordered that a new presidential vote be held within 150 days.
Malawi's Electoral Commission Commissioner Mary Nkusi said the electoral body made a mistake in declaring Peter Mutharika the winner of the election. According to her, the elections had glaring irregularities and anomalies. She also revealed that some members were even forced to sign the election result sheets few hours to the swearing-in ceremony.
My own conscience tells me that we erred. Because I believed that we should have looked at we should have gone to court, sought for an extension to look at these serious allegations of changing figures, tipexing members of parliament.
This comes as the first legally contested presidential election in Malawi since independence from Britain in 1964.
Shall be the truth, the whole truth.
Malawi made history on Monday when the Supreme Court ruled in favor of an opposition petition to annul the results of last May's presidential election on allegations of fraud.
So there would be
the court ordered a new election within 150 days, as well as an investigation into the conduct of the Election Commission.
The Commission declares that Lazarus Chakwera, the candidate who has attained 58.57% of the votes, has attained the requisite majority of electorate as appearing in the second schedule and is duly elected as President of the Republic of Malawi.
Mozambique's 2019 elections brought more of the same. Fraud and voter suppression plagued the voting process, with the opposition led by Renamo outright rejecting the results. Yet the ruling Frelimo party's candidate, Felipe News, was declared the victor. Recently, another Frelimo candidate, Daniel Chapo, was awarded victory amid fresh allegations of fraud. Thousands of citizens took to the street, braving the police crackdown and risking their lives to protest the disputed results. Tragically, lives were lost, sparking international condemnation and exposing the cost of demanding democracy. Let us watch the following videos for more context.
Jacinto Ernesto's family never thought they'd lose him so young. They told us he stayed at home during most of last week's protests, then was shot dead by police minutes after walking out of his house. He was 29 years old.
The family's feelings are of disgust. He was a young man full of life, and his life was taken away. The police are meant to protect people, not kill people.
The day Jacinto was killed, police were using tear gas and live bullets on demonstrators who were angry about what they see as blatant rigging of elections earlier this month. The anger grew when 2 senior opposition figures were shot dead. Rights groups say Jacinto's death is one of many cases of excessive police violence committed with the intention of intimidating and deterring people from protesting against the disputed election results. This video shows police in Nyasa province using gunfire to disperse opposition supporters. They say presidential candidate Venancio Mondlane is the real winner of the polls, which were marred by reports of widespread irregularities. Behind the police, supporters of the ruling Frelimo party have gathered to celebrate the Electoral Commission's announcement of a Frelimo victory. The police say that several people have been injured and hundreds arrested. They haven't acknowledged responsibility for any deaths.
Mozambique is facing a political standoff following the 9th October elections. The country's electoral body announced that Frelimo's Daniel Chapo won most of the votes and defeated Venancio Mondlane, who took second place, and displaced Renamo as the official opposition.
Considerando que a matéria de que trata o protesto.
He says, considering that the matter addressed in the protest and the review was not discussed during this National Centralization Assembly, nor by the Mozambique's Electoral Commission. In more general terms, the protest is deemed unfounded without prejudice to its full content being used by the Podemos party, should they wish in an appeal against the decision approving and announcing the current results. But the opposition says it will continue to fight for change.
We will continue to mobilize our people not to accept the results. How will they not accept? There are various constitutional ways of fighting, stopping the economy and protest. These are legal means. There is nothing illegal in it. There is nothing brutal. There are various ways to keep pressure.
Frelimo has governed the southern African country since 1975. It's been accused of rigging elections, which it denies. Chapo will succeed President Filipe Nyusi to become Mozambique's 5th president since the country got independence from Portugal in the 70s.
I hope a change, a better administration, because now is it bad.
Tensions rose in Maputo after the opposition party lawyer and official was shot dead after the vote.
In Tanzania, the 2020 elections were marred by dramatic allegations of voter intimidation, suppression, and ballot stuffing. President John Magufuli claimed a second term in a victory the opposition roundly rejected. Reports of security forces detaining opposition leaders, silencing media, and intimidating voters painted a bleak picture, leaving Tanzanians questioning whether their voices were truly heard. Let us watch the following videos for more context.
Violent clashes have been witnessed all morning in East Africa's largest island, Zanzibar, as residents clashed with police after reports of the death of several individuals emerged. Zanzibar is conducting an early vote for special groups 24 hours before polls officially open in the entire People's Republic of Tanzania. Reports from Zanzibar also say that the main opposition candidate, Maalim Seif Sharif, has been arrested at a polling station as he tried to vote early with the special groups. Leila Mohammed breaks down the events.
Reports from the ACT Wazalendo party in Zanzibar state that 3 people were shot dead Monday, allegedly by police in Pemba Island. Residents of the island had taken to the streets to protest claims that some ballot papers for the Wednesday general election were being distributed by the Tanzanian military, allegedly. Unverified images coming out of the Tanzanian island of Zanzibar have shown large groups of the opposition party supporters take to the streets to protest what has been claimed as the killing of persons by Tanzanian police ahead of a general election slated to take place in less than 24 hours. At one point, police are captured on camera beating the demonstrators while their colleagues stand guard, pointing their firearms at the crowds. In other images, a group of police officers tries to evade a hail of stones thrown at them by angry opposition party supporters. The drama further escalates into a full-blown running battles between the two parties as normal business comes to a standstill on the island. Zanzibar, a semi-autonomous Indian Ocean archipelago, has a history of contested polls and post-election violence. It's conducting an early vote which began at 1 a.m. Tuesday to allow special groups cast their votes before polls officially open early Wednesday, the 28th of October. This early vote is the first of its kind in Zanzibar and Tanzania in general.
Access to the media has been severely curtailed in some instances. We're hearing reports of WhatsApp not working. What have you heard?
Absolutely. I mean, as of last night, they were reporting from internet users in that country that they were not able to access social media sites such as WhatsApp and Twitter. Now, analysts have warned that access or dissemination of information is crucial in any election that will be deemed free and fair. Now, already these elections have been marred by violence, intimidation, and a restriction on the media. Analysts say that this does not look good for the incumbent and the security forces in that country, in that it begins to legitimize the suspicion of the opposition of something happening behind the scenes like rigging.
And what is the opposition saying about voting irregularities?
Well, there were some reports from local journalists today that showed what in the capital, Dar es Salaam, residents discovering ballot boxes stuffed with papers that looked like they had already been marked. The main opposition leader, Lisu of the Chadema party, said that his party agents were denied access into polling stations. He told the media that this was an onslaught on democracy and human rights.
In each of these cases, the promise of democracy seemed overshadowed by power struggles and conflicting agendas. SADC's approach to these electoral controversies, at times issuing reports critical of the process, at others appearing to endorse the very leaders accused of suppressing fair elections, has left many questioning the future of democracy in Southern Africa. This has led some to say SADC is a toothless dog because it has done nothing to combat election fraud since it was established. How can those who have accused to have fraudulently won elections preside over their fellow counterparts who are accused of the same? How can pot call kettle black? Some argue that it's the liberation parties who have made a pact to protect each other, but at the expense of the people. The question still remains: why does SADC seem to be powerless and actionless against election fraud? Here is my take. SADC has struggled to effectively intervene in election-related disputes within its member states, largely due to several systemic, political and procedural limitations. Principle of sovereignty and non-interference. SADC's charter emphasizes respect of sovereignty of its member states and non-interference in their internal affairs. The principle often limits the organization's ability to actively intervene, especially when elections are deemed a domestic issue. While SADC observers may comment on the fairness of elections, the organization avoids direct intervention that could seem as compromising a state's independence. Consensus-based decision-making. SADC operates on a consensus model which requires agreement among all. all member states to take action. Since many SADC countries are ruled by long-standing liberation parties, often sympathetic to each other's regimes, achieving consensus on controversial intervention, especially those addressing alleged election fraud, is challenging. Consequently, decision-making is often slow or inconclusive, leading to inaction on pressing electoral issues, lack of enforcement mechanisms. Even when SADC observers raise concern over election fairness, the organization lacks enforceable mechanism to compel compliance with democratic norms. SADC's main role is advisory and observational, which limits its capacity to enforce corrective measures in cases of fraud or manipulation. Unlike the African Union, AU, SADC has no clear sanctions for member states that fail to adhere to electoral guidelines. Political solidarity among liberation movements. Many SADC member states are governed by former liberation movements that retain solidarity across the region. This shared history often leads to a culture of leniency and reluctance to criticize one another. As a result, SADC member states are hesitant to challenge the legitimacy of fellow liberation-led governments, particularly regarding sensitive issues like election fraud, which could undermine their own domestic authority. Institutional weaknesses and limited resources. SADC lacks institutional capacity, resources, and funding to conduct comprehensive investigation into election-related issues. The observer missions are often limited in scope and duration, relying on minimum resources that restrict their ability to monitor elections extensively or follow up with irregularities. Without resources to deploy robust observation and enforcement teams, SADC's role in addressing election fraud is largely symbolic. Lack of political will and accountability. A lack of political will within SADC undermines efforts to address election irregularities. Many member states, including those where electoral issues are most prominent, hold significant sway within SADC's leadership structure, making it difficult to build accountability for addressing election fraud. This lack of commitment to democratic norms can perpetuate a cycle of disputed elections without substantial intervention. The combination of these factors often results in SADC issuing statements that support peaceful resolution and democratic principles without concrete action. This dynamic has led to the widespread criticism of SADC as ineffective in handling election disputes, as its structure and governance norms frequently prioritize state sovereignty and regional stability over electoral integrity. In view of this, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Let me know what you think about this matter in the comment section below. If you have enjoyed the video, please click the like button. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please show your brother some love. Smash that subscribe button. Thank you for watching. See you on the next video. God bless you.